This conference will now be recorded.
So these are all the picture you are seeing here. Okay, these are the small caseating tubercles over the serosa, over the ovary, over the tubes, etc. This is small tubercles. So this is serosal tuberculosis. There are tubercles on the serosa covering all. What you see here in the picture is a tobacco pouch appearance of the tube. There is fimbrial adhesions, and this tube has distorted and it has been expanded in the form of a tobacco pouch. So this is also a classical presentation of TB in fallopian tube. And again, here is your histopathological examination. In this histopathological examination, what you are seeing is the caseation surrounded all the lymphocytes. Okay. Here, what do you see in a caldoscope? What do you see? These are the adhesions. These are the tubercles. So first, so most affected part tract is your either due to hematogenous spread from the lungs, or less commonly due to ascending infection. Most of the time, bilateral tubes are involved. So what happens? The tubes will become thickened and they form a whip-like consistency, and there will be tuberculous exocysts. What we have discussed previously, the serosa is all laden with minute tubercles all over the tube. That is exocyst. Inside the tube, what happens? It appears as tobacco pouch. The previous figure I have shown, right? Tobacco pouch. So the fimbrial end is blocked due to adhesions. The whole tube gets thickened due to inflammation, and then all the secretions get caseation and everything occurs inside the tube, and it will appear as tobacco pouch. Okay. And there may be tuberculous hematosalpinx if there is any accumulation of serous fluid, and there may be pyosalpinx if there is any pus. So again, this is, see, this tube is normal tube, and here what you are seeing is a tobacco pouch tube. So next, what is Fitzhugh-Curtis syndrome? These are the adhesions. They are string adhesions which are noted between the right fallopian tube and the undersurface of the liver because of the tuberculosis. What happens? There is leakage of infected material into the peritoneal cavity, can cause peritubal abscess, tubercular peritonitis, and ascites can occur. And then what happens? What is endosalpinx? Previously, we have discussed ectosalpinx. Ectosalpinx is due to ectosalpingitis occurs when there are tubercles adherent to the serosal surface of the tubes. What happens in the endosalpinx? There will be reactive adenomatous hyperplasia, and it may be mistaken sometimes with carcinoma. So how do you diagnose any TB fallopian tube, involvement of tuberculosis in the fallopian tube? How do you diagnose? There will be, you should demonstrate there is acid pass bacilli in the tissues by positive cultures or guinea pig inoculation or PCR test of the tube tissue is also definitive. So, if there is a TB in your fallopian tubes, there is higher chances the patient may develop ectopic pregnancy. Why ectopic pregnancy? Because the tube is damaged. The cilia of the tube, which helps in the transport of the ovum and later zygote into the uterine cavity, are damaged because of the infection and caseation. So, whatever ovum or zygote which has will stay in the tube itself, forming the ectopic pregnancy. That's why whenever there is tuberculous TB salpingitis, you will have higher incidence of ectopic pregnancy. So, what are all the differential diagnoses? It may be foreign body granulomas because of previous HSG or any surgeries, and then sarcoidosis, Crohn's disease, and anything associated with intravenous vermicularis, other than infections. These are all the differential diagnoses for TB salpingitis. So once again, This is again one more thing of TB salpingitis, which is involved in the ectosalpinx. Ectosalpinx, there are so many miliary tubercles. And then again, because the endosalpinx also is involved, you will see this is the tobacco pouch of the tube. So again, same thing. So lots of distension, tobacco pouch appearance. And these are all the miliary tubercles, which you are seeing on the ovary and the serosal surface of the tube. Next, once we have covered the fallopian tubes, next comes uterus. So 50 to 60% of the cases of genital tubercles, uterus and the endometrium is involved. So what do you see? Gross cyclical menstrual shedding. There is nothing, there will be causes much grossly you can see. But when you see the histological examination of the endometrium, what caseation? Surrounded by epithelioid cells, stroma infiltrated with giant cells, and it may be a descending infection from the fallopian tube, the corneal end. So the corneal ends are first involved in the uterus because it is descended from the tube. And in the uterine cavity, what you will see, you can see ulcerated granular and fungating lesions, which is devoid of endometrium. And when you do curettage, when you do DNC, dilatation of curettage to collect the endometrium, there will be some, most of the times there will be scanty endometrium or no material is obtained, and the patient may be landed in amenorrhea because of the destruction of the endometrium due to the infection. And sometimes because of the occlusion of the internal loss of the uterus, there will be pyometra. All the caseation is accumulated in the uterus, which leads to pyometra. And then Asherman syndrome. What is Asherman syndrome? There is intrauterine adhesions which obliterates either partially or completely the total uterine cavity. Then we call it as Asherman syndrome. Due to the TB endometritis can lead to Asherman syndrome. Asherman syndrome is nothing but partial or complete obliteration of the uterine cavity because of the adhesions. So, what happens even with endometritis? There is regular menstruation except when there is amenorrhea or pyometra. Next, granulomas are best identified on the endometrial sampling on day 24 to day 26 of the cycle or within few hours of the onset of the menses. So what is the ideal time you want to do dilatation of curettage to diagnose your TB endometritis? It is from day 24 to day 26. If you do endometrial sampling, that is the best time to identify TB endometritis or within few hours of menstrual onset of menstruation. So this is again histopathological slide which shows large caseation in the middle between followed by surrounded by what you see here is lymphocytes, epithelioid cells and lymphocytes accumulating around the caseation. Okay, in the stroma. Next comes after uterine cavity is your ovary. It is 20 to 30% of the cases of genital tuberculosis, and periuteritis resulting from the spread of the adjacent fallopian tubes is the reason. Ovary may be encased in adhesions. Sometimes hematogenous spread, either from the, how does the ovary get infected? Either from the tube. So tubes are infected and the infected material is transferred from the tube to the ovary, or from the hematogenous spread from the pulmonary region. That is also one of the reasons for spreading to ovary. Now, cervix. So cervix again either descending infection from the tube and ovary, tube and the uterus, or ascending infection from sexual intercourse. So how do you see grossly? You will have no changes in cervix, and very rarely you will have ulcerative lesions, and sometimes very rarely polypoid lesions are seen. Histologically, again the same caseation granulomatous lesion with the surrounding lymphocytes and epithelioid cells and giant cells. So, on examination, what you see? You will see yellowish brown offensive discharge. So, how do you diagnose cervical biopsy? You do a punch biopsy and you send that for HPE, that is histopathological examination, to confirm your tuberculosis. So this is again your tuberculosis is TB cervix. Now vulva and vagina. This is very rare. They can occur. It may be either ulcerative lesion or a fibrotic lesions, or sometimes wart-like things can occur. So how do you diagnose? It's again punch biopsy. So this is your TB vulva. Something like wart-like lesion is present in this hypertrophic tuberculosis vulva. So what are the clinics of genital tract tuberculosis? Mostly asymptomatic in 10% of the cases. Generally normal TB symptoms like fever, malaise, weight loss, fatigue, and feeling of blissness. These are all normal tuberculosis symptoms. And then specifically for TB genital tract, you have abdominal pain or lump. Why the lump? Lump is formed due to rolled up momentum with dense adhesions to the uterus and adnexum, and sometimes encysted ascites, and sometimes melted intestinal loops, uterine pyometra, and adnexal mass. These all presents as mass per abdomen, that is lump per abdomen. So abdominal pain, chronic pelvic pain. Why chronic pelvic pain? There may be dysmenorrhea, dyspareunia, and repeated episodes of pelvic inflammatory disease. So these are all symptoms. And vaginal discharge, postcoital bleach, vaginal discharge, blood-stained vaginal discharge, bleeding, leukorrhea, serosanguinous, and seropurulence from the ulcers. Next, menstrual symptoms. So, menstrual symptoms either menorrhagia, oligomenorrhea, followed by menorrhagia, postmenopausal bleeding. These can all occur. And most common presentation will be your infertility. Any case of genital tract tuberculosis, infertility can occur in 30% of cases. Tubal damage and endometrial adhesions, Asherman syndrome, and at times ovarian damage can occur, which leads to infertility. In cases of non-healing scars following surgery, suspect the possibility of tuberculosis, and biopsy from the scar tissue will reveal the diagnosis of high risk. So what are all the routine investigations? General investigations are complete blood picture, where you will see lymphocytosis, ESR, which is raised and non-specific, Montague's test, which is positive, will indicative of exposure to the tubercular bacilli in the past, and quantiferon is the test which is superior to Montague's, and HSG. HSG, what do you see in HSG? There will be rigid non-peristaltic pipe tube, bleeding and variation in the filling defect, calcification of the tube, corneal block, jagged fluffiness of the tubal outline, tobacco pouch appearance of hydrosalpinx and pyosalpinx. These are all the features which can be seen in the HSG. And ELISA test to identify the antibodies, IgG, IgM are identified in ELISA. So this is again the HSG. HSG is, you will see that there is no spillage. This is the tobacco pouch appearance of the tube. Here what you see is the tube is all normal, and this is the spillage. On the right side, you will see that the tube is tobacco pouch shaped. And mainly endometrial histology and PCR testing is the gold standard. For histopathology, you should do PCR testing, and guinea pig inoculation and tissue culture has most sensitivity. And you can do a hysteroscopy. You can see either synechia, partial obliteration of the cavity, and whole appearance of the tubal ostia. And you can do laparoscopy, where you can see tuberculous lesions on the parietal peritoneum, intestinal serosa, omentum, surface of the uterus, and fallopian tubules. And you can do biopsy, which can be sent for histology and PCR. And tissue biopsy, when there are lesions on the vulva and vagina, there will be local excision submitted for histology. Chest X-ray for primary lesion. If there is any pulmonary tuberculosis, you have to do chest X-ray. And radiography of bones to rule out the tuberculosis pathology. And NAT and CA-125 is not specific. So it is again, excuse me. This is again laparoscopic view of the TB pelvis, on the uterus, on the ovary. What you are looking at this picture are the small tubercles all over the pelvic cavity. Okay, on the serosa of the pelvic cavity. So other tests are gas chromatography, SAFA, BACTEC, semen culture, and some biochemical markers like adenosine and deaminase. So what are all the differential diagnoses? Here, ovarian cyst, broad ligament cyst, encysted fluid, PID, ectopic pregnancy, cervical carcinoma, elephantiasis of the vulva, pregnancy, puberty menorrhagia, postmenopausal bleeding, fungal infections, and sarcoidosis. These are all you have to rule out. Differential diagnosis you have to rule out. So how do you rule out? You do your ultrasound, you do your biopsies to confirm. So how do you treat? There is multiple drug therapy is the mainstay of the treatment. So short-term treatment is 6 to 9 months is effective for genital tuberculosis. So in India, where the level of isoniazid resistance is high, we have added ethambutol for the added continuation phase for 4. Okay, so isoniazid should be taken before breakfast and liver function test has to be done before starting rifampicin. And then liver enzyme, if they are elevated more than normal, you have to stop it. Okay. And what are the side effects of ethambutol? Sometimes visual complications are there with this ethambutol. So these are all the things. These anti-TB drugs, anyway, you are going to learn in your medicine. What are all the side effects? How do you start? How do you all can be done in the. So this is again WHO guidelines for the treatment of TB dots. So there is category 1, category 2, what do you say, patients. In category 1, extrapulmonary. This is includes genital, comes under our category. So this is our concern. This is our concern. So we start intensive base with 2 months with your isoniazid, rifampicin, pyrazinamide, and ethambutol for 2 months. And then 4 months continuation phase, again 4 months of isoniazid, rifampicin, and ethambutol. This is your continuation phase. So total 6 months SRZD and total 4 months HRE. So again, what is dosage, what is the action, and what is the side effects? Rifampicin, it is 10 mg per kg. It is bactericidal. Side effect is hepatotoxic, fever, purpuric rash, orangish urine. Isoniazid, again 5 to 10 mg per kg OV daily, bactericidal, hepatotoxic, peripheral uveitis, and hypersensitivity. And pyrazinamide 25 to 30 mg per kg OT, bactericidal, hepatitis, hyperuricemia. Ethambutol again, what is the dosage? 15 mg per kg per OT, bacteriostatic, optic neuritis, skin rash, all the side effects. So if these first line drugs, the patient is resistant, the bacteria is resistant to these first line drugs, what do you use? These are the second line drugs. What are the second line drugs? Capreomycin, kanamycin, ethionamide, para-aminosaccharide, and cycloserine. These are the second line drugs. So surgery. What are the indications for surgery? When there is progression of this disease, persistent of active lesion, persistent of large inflammatory masses, that is pyosalpines, pyometra, persistence of symptoms, that is pain, menorrhagia, persistence of fistula despite chemotherapy, then you will go for surgery. What are the contraindications of surgery? When there are active lesions elsewhere in the body, there are any plastic adhesions, any attempt to separate the adhesion will result in trauma to the bowels. That's why we have to avoid. So what do? You generally give chemotherapy with the anti-tuberculous drugs for a few months, and then you follow it up by surgery. So what are the types of surgery you do? Total hysterectomy, where you remove both the ovaries and fallopian tubes along with the uterus. Vulvectomy in the case of hypertrophic vulva. Tuboplasty is contraindicated. Any surgery on the tube to improve fertility would cause reactivation of the disease. Moreover, fertility cannot be restored when the tubal walls are damaged. Removal of the adnexal mass in a young woman, drainage of pyometria, fistula repair. These are all the types of surgery we do for tuberculosis. So how do you monitor? By clinical examination, by serial ultrasounds, by serial ESR monitoring, and serial endometrial biopsies. That's how you monitor. The patient should be followed up for at least 5 years. So what is the prognosis? Nearly 90% of the cases get cured with chemotherapy. However, in 10% of the cases, the patients won't conceive. 50% will land in ectopic pregnancy, tubal pregnancy. 20 to 30% of the patient will abort. Thank you. So this is the thing. I'm going to take the attendance now. Please let me know if you have any doubts so that I'll clear the doubts. Any doubts, please let me know. I'll be here for 5 more minutes. I'll try to solve your doubts. Any doubts, Amma, for anybody?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Then I'm going to leave the meeting. If you have any doubts, you can just put it in the group, the WhatsApp. I'll try to clear it. Okay, thank you.
Okay, ma'am.